you've become obviously a social media superstar.
It's ridiculous.
On Keystores. Talk us through that.
And I made up a hooky CV. And I'm telling you, it was the most outrageous CV, just full of lies. Absolutely, I'd done this, I'd done that, I'd done...
Don't try this at home.
And...
yeah.
The hip, hip, hop, you don't stop the rockin' to the bang, bang, boogie, say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. So,
Sean, are you going to give us the countdown?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're rolling.
You couldn't have been more Glaswegian if you tried there. Look, first of all, Greg, thank you very much for joining us on ORRJO Unscripted. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
that's all. I'm always really interested when people say that at events, or can you tell us a wee bit about yourself? What do you want to know? Do you want to know the professional stuff, or do you want to know the personal stuff? Because the professional stuff has a good story, but I always think there's a lot more to people rather than just their business life.
I'd be keen to understand both, to be honest with you. What we often do here is we go a little bit further back to kind of school life, as you're leaving school, like how was that? So I'm sure that's impacted both business and personal.
Yeah.
So if you want to maybe go back there and start wherever you're most comfortable.
All right, born in 1972, 53 years old now. Mum passed away when I was 2 years old. Dad brought up 4 children on his own in the 70s.
Wow.
And it was quite an impact on him because he'd quite a successful life, and then we moved from quite successful to poverty very, very quickly.
Right, okay.
So we moved house, and there was quite a bit of trauma around that. But, you know, a brilliant childhood, wonderful, wonderful memories, lots of laughter, lots of fun. But pretty hard. You know, Glasgow in the 70s and 80s was a very different
Whereabouts
place.
in Glasgow?
South side.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So lived a place called ORRJO, which is pretty close to Pollokshaws.
Right, okay.
Went to school with Frankie Boyle.
Oh, yeah.
Frankie and I were friends growing up. And from there, secondary school, never really put a lot of, I think I had that much going on in terms of just dealing with life. So school was not a major priority, but having fun, hanging out with girls, and entertainment, music was my passion.
We've already got a lot in common.
So
to be honest,
there
not done very well at school and hanging out with girls.
and that's something I'm really personally really pleased about, is that I didn't have the education that lots of people desired. I didn't have a really fractured, difficult. I was expelled from secondary school, really controversially. Didn't go to university. Had about 40 jobs before I was 20 years old. Just the wildest variety of strange jobs. Then kind of found my way. Studied to become a social worker. And then in my early 20s, I had the most burning desire to get into entertainment. Okay. Like, my sister was having a going away party. She was going to Australia. I was about 22, and she'd hired a DJ. This was in the days of vinyl. I just remember on the night just been intrigued by this guy in the corner playing tunes. And when he had a break, I went up to him and said, "Listen, do you mind if I play some tunes?" Yeah. And he said, "Aye, fire away." But it wasn't the playing the tunes, it was, I picked up the microphone and I held it and I was like, I'm at home. Yeah. I am here, man. This is what I want to do. And I heard the amplification of my voice, and I looked at what happened when I asked people things, and I was like, wow, I belong. Yeah. This is what I want to do. And before that, so obviously, like, you know, sad to hear the story, like, obviously some real challenges there with your mum, and the family life sounded really tough. When you look back at like school life and I know you didn't go to like uni and stuff, do you look back, was it really tough? Like, is it really all tough, or did you actually have a good time? Did you? No, I never found it really tough. I mean, in reflection, I think that's because I think in life you're given things, and I've been given the gift of being able to communicate, and understand communication. I don't mean that to sound like boastful or anything. I just know it's what I've got. And I was always able to talk my way out of things. I was always able just to be in a position. I was very, very disruptive in school, simply because I was quite mouthy to the teachers. Because a lot of the time, I remember I used to challenge teachers and how they spoke to my friends, because I thought it was really rude, and I thought it was really mildly antagonistic, and I was uncomfortable in school, and I thought, but there were some teachers that I really loved, that spoke well, communicated great, made you feel good. But school, on the whole, wasn't the most positive experience for me, because I think I was a challenged kid. I had my own troubles that I had to get through, and I don't think they were as able to identify in the way they are today. You know, kids with problems.
And did you find like that the academic part of like studying and like school, was that?
I wasn't interested. I wanted to party.
And the reason I'm asking that is like it's actually really similar to my.
Is it?
Like I didn't enjoy school, but I loved socialising. I loved partying. I loved talking to people. I loved communicating with people. And I look back actually with such fond memories, because I've still got some best friends in the world are still from those days.
Me too.
They all excelled academically. I was always the worst by miles.
Me too.
And but you know, it's not overall limited me in kind of like where you can go.
Look at where you are. Look at what you've got.
And I think though, and this is some of the things that we would love to share with people that hopefully watch or listen to this, is like, even if you are having a really tough fucking time, I don't know. Swear, who cares? Like, you know, it's not final.
No.
And you know, there's a long road ahead, and you'll find. And I think like we've had a woman called Nikki Brown on, who does a lot of like mindset coaching and business development stuff with people, and she talks about like everyone has their own kind of superpower. And I think like you said, you knew that communicating was just like, and I think probably largely that's, you know, one of the things I do probably relatively well as well, is like open to speaking to people. And what I found though, and I don't know if it's, but like, as I'm getting older though, there's certain environments I actually don't really like as much anymore. I find actually and this is, people might disagree with this, but like, I actually feel a bit of I feel that I'm not that comfortable in bigger groups as much as I maybe was before and stuff like that. I don't know, it's maybe just as I'm getting older. I don't know, maybe. But anyway, it's interesting. And you mentioned you had like 40 odd jobs before you kind of found. You talk me through a couple of them. Anything that's and any good stories you've got?
Goodness, there were that many. There was pizza delivery in the middle of winter, where I come off my motorbike in Newton Mearns in the middle of snow, late at night. I'd done my back in. There was selling clothes in River Island round the corner. There was gardening. There was painting and decorating. There was, you name it, just anything to. You're just in that age where you're exploring, and I'm glad I've done that. Totally. I just explored lots of crazy, daft things, and it just allowed me to experience lots of stuff. So there was just a variety. I remember the reason I got so many jobs, I think I was just really good at interviews as well. I can't remember a job. I can't name the firm, but I remember. I remember there was this job for like, in the early days of like the internet, and there was this job for this telecommunications sales executive with a massive American firm that were just launching in Glasgow.
Right,
and I got the advert in the Glasgow Herald, and I was like, that, I could do that. And I made up a hooky CV. I'm telling you, it was the most outrageous CV, just full of lies. Absolutely, I'd done this, I'd done that.
Don't try this at home.
And And I remember, I thought, I'm just going to see if I can get this job. I genuinely, and it was like, back in the day, it was about 50 grand or something, right? This was 2000. And I just set myself a challenge. I'm just going to try and get this job.
Sean, that's what you did, mate, isn't it?
Right? It wasn't about the job, it was just about getting the job. You know, the hunt, the actual, how could I do that?
The thrill of the chase kind of thing.
Aye. I remember at the time my friend was selling these picture frames that he would sell at pubs, and the picture frames you would put at a urinal, and you would...
So the advertising space or whatever,
But it had a cut out at the top, and you could just put in the A4 like that, change it dead easily. So you had one, and I thought, give me that. And I took it to the interview, and I told them that I'd invented this. You know, I was like, my creativity's off the charts. Look, I've just invented this. And the guy was like, that's incredible. What's the called? Like, urinals, magic. And you just do that with the A4, and he was like that. This guy's a genius. And I remember I got the job. And I remember I got private healthcare, laptop, company car. And I was like, man, I don't even want this job. So it was...
How long were you in that job?
Not long.
Yeah.
Not long. So they realised that I was a total chancer. And exactly. So,
Wrong guy.
But it was... I think if I'd have stuck at it and actually had the patience to learn what I was selling.
Yeah.
Selling is another area that I enjoy, just all communication about firing your audience, about the benefit of what you have.
Yeah.
But I think I got the job, enjoyed it, had some fun, moved on to the next one.
And so see, like, obviously, like, communication, like, very clearly comes very natural, and that's when I think, you know, you've kind of got your superpower or whatever. It's when something you don't need to, like, turn on and off, it's just there, right? And you can lean into it whenever you need to. When did you realise that was, like, because you mentioned it was in your 20s, like, is there something happened or
there
whatever?
was, I think there's a number of real key moments, and they're still happening.
Right,
the beauty of it is they're still happening. There's moments where you think, and it all kind of fits into place. So the one that I've already highlighted, when I picked up the microphone, I thought, wow, this is what I want to do. When I really started DJing, and I went from DJing to actually being given a mic to say, would you present and host this event? I remember there was a Hilton Foundation ball, so I used to do all the DJing at the Hilton, and the presenter never turned up and said, Greg, can you do it? And I just effortlessly took it and held the room. And then I realised I can get 3 or 4 times as a presenter as I can as a DJ. So 2009-10, I thought, no longer DJing, I'm a presenter, which allowed me to up my fee, and it allowed me to move in different circles. But I remember there was a really, really profound moment. I was hosting an event for Deloitte at a place called Prestonfield in Edinburgh. Okay. And my son, who is, I love him dearly, he practiced magic at the time, so he was like a table magician. So I used to take him to events with me. He was 14 years old. It was just one of those moments you're looking at your son, he's doing his magic. And this is my other son, so I've got 2. Right. Aaron had done the magic, Elliot does the social media. But I remember at that night, I was so proud looking at him. He was like standing at 14 years old at the top table. Owning the crowd. And I was like, that's my boy. Love that magic. But part of my responsibility that night was, you know, hosting the night and comparing the night, and making sure that everyone crucially knew what was going down, were involved in the raffle, the auction, and it really had the story of the charities who were involved in the night. And at maybe about towards the end of the night, I was standing outside chatting to someone, and a big tall chap come up to me and he said, Greg, and I said, aye. And he said, I like what you've done tonight. He said, but do you actually know what you do? And I was like, that's a really good question. He said, have you actually taken the time to really look into what you do? So what is it you do? I thought, what is it I do? And I thought, that's a really good question, so I'm on the spot going to have to give quite a good answer. So I said, well, I host and present events, I communicate really important messages, and crucially, I make people feel good. Right? And he said, well, that's a good answer, but do you understand why you do that? I was like, what is this? And he said, there's my card. I'd like you to come and chat to me. So I phoned him, and over a period of 2 years, he made me realise very, very quickly that the business community have a major craving and desire for the skills that I so freely have. And I had no idea. I was just like, people can't do it. People struggle with this stuff. You know, people, you're telling me that CEOs really struggle to stand up and command an audience and engage, and, you know, they're challenged with an audience staying with them. And I was like, come on. I was like, really? And then from there, I've just, over the past, well, between 2015 and 2019, I had it really thriving. COVID hit. I just took 2.5 years off and learned how to surf and bought a camper van and farted about. Stepped back into it, 22 on to now. And it's growing very strongly. And
it's unbelievable. I think I've seen it a lot. I mean, so my background more like I've worked in some big corporates and then I've set up the business. And what I've seen time and time again is, like, you know, the people that you look at and you think they've surely got it all together, like the CEOs or whoever, like everyone's winging it. And you know, and everybody, they're trying their best with what they've got. Most people are trying to develop, work on things, but everybody's got their own doubts, their own, you know, if they've never done it before, like, you know, people maybe call it like imposter syndrome or whatever. And it's usually just because they've not got experience doing it time and time again, so they build up that, I guess, thick skin or kind of ability to just lean into it and just do it naturally. What did you find? So when you started working with these, like the business community, and obviously that opened up a huge avenue, I'm sure, like, for your business revenue-wise. Like, is there any kind of patterns you saw, or is there anything that you found?
Loads and loads. The most striking thing that comes to mind when I think about working with anyone in business, and it is primarily business, because when you look at working with, so I do work with folk who are in recovery in terms of storytelling. I'm very passionate about trying to help people. I'm from a working class background. I was not given the opportunity or presented the opportunity to excel. I had to fight for where I got to. And I look at people in the recovery community and people who are having a bit of trouble. I equally, that's what my hat is about. But what I have learned in the business community is that not only are people winging it, but when they stand in front of an audience, they're given the wrong presentation of themselves, because they're that challenged by how their audience interpret them that they think and are pressured into being something that they're not. Now that can be a really, really interesting journey for someone to go from, I've had 10 years of success, which has created this person that presents him or herself in front of an audience, but that ain't me. So for them to actually put themselves in a position where it is natural. We had the conversation at the start of this about when you're speaking in front of an audience, talk to me like your pal. Give me the best of you. Most people that I find in business, when they stand in front of an audience, are not truly themselves. And that's now, when you're working with them, they're either receptive to taking on what you present to them as a solution for getting to where they need to be, or they're not receptive. If they're receptive, you can do a lot of great work. There's a lot of people that are not receptive as well. So there's a lot of people who are, and what comes from that, Gareth, are really challenged messages. Communication is the most important, positive communication is the most important thing in any organisation by a distance. And not enough organisations, professionals, people in all levels of business are really thinking about it deeply.
And I think, I definitely agree with that. I think I've seen amazing presentations, amazing speakers, and I've seen some really bad ones. And I think they don't have to, the ones that are really great maybe aren't the most successful or the most whatever, but what you see is like, it's authentic, it's them, they're talking from their experience without, they're not scared to be fragile or to put, like, you know, and give them their kind of full self out there. And I think it's those that are typically coming in from I've got to put a show on here, like you mentioned before. It's like, because I've built this persona that everybody thinks I'm this really strong leader or really strong or really rich business person or whatever it might be, whatever journey they're on and whatever they think is success. They've built this persona that's bollocks, basically. And I think people that get it, though, and I can see, I don't know why, I can see through it a million. Like, it's so easy.
The interesting thing is, Gareth, most people can. When you are, and I'd like to think anyone that watches this, right, will get Greg. This is Greg that talks to his two sons. I talk to them better than I talk to anyone. And why would I want to change my most effective form of communication? Why wouldn't I want to model who I am and what makes me such a great communicator with the two people I love most in my life? Why would it change? Why would it not just be, why would it not be more of that with your audience? So what you'll get from me on the stage here at the Kiltwalk, in front of my boys, working with whoever I'm having to go, it's me. Because if I don't give me, people sense it immediately.
Totally.
So I got a question for you both then. So you're obviously both great speakers, right? But not everyone who goes into the position of a CEO, a sales director, someone who grows their business is a good speaker. And they may put on that front, right? So they're not being themselves. Do you have any tips you would give to someone?
You go first.
So I think they need to let their guard down and be open to developing it and working on it. And I think throwing themselves into more scenarios that they feel uncomfortable in will build up that resilience. And like, I remember when I first got my first leadership role at the company, it was Fleetmatics at the time. I was 30, I think I was, 29 or 30, I can't remember what age it was. Yeah, not, shut up. Well, and basically, I remember every morning we would do like a huddle, like every morning, not like a Celtic one, no, not like that, no, I've said it wrong. It was like a stand-up, right, a stand-up. And every morning, like I'd drive in, I'd listen to something motivational on the way in to give me like some inspiration, some thoughts or whatever, but I'd still be shitting myself. I'd be like, fuck, right, what am I going to say here, what it needs to sound good, and you know, and I would just go and do it, and I did it every single day for about 3 years, every fucking day. And now I don't really care who I speak in front. Obviously, we did that thing at Cali to like the lecturers and stuff, like, and I didn't prepare. I did, just in case anybody asks. But I knew what I was going to talk about. I just I don't script things because my brain doesn't work like that. I have bullets, and that's the best I can do. And then my brain kind of works its way through. So I think it's just practice and trying it and making mistakes and just being open to it, though. And I think it's the guard's got to be down. I think that's to like what you had said before. It's like people have to be open to developing, in my opinion. What about you?
You need to practice and practice more and practice more and practice more and practice more. And what you need to do, crucially, is you need to take every opportunity in your professional life to speak in front of people. Mm-hmm. You need to think consciously about what am I saying and what's... See, even we think about, I'm going to try and become skilled at this, but what are the words that you're using? How do your words impact your audience? What do you say? How do you say it? How does it resonate? What's the passion that you have in your delivery? Because a lot of people just think, I'm going to start speaking. Yeah. Right? There's way much more to it. But what you also need to do is you need to think about who you're talking to and how they're receiving your information. Because if you just go, what are they feeling? What are they receiving? What are they actually interpreting? And there's some great things you can do. Go and do some open mic comedy, right? You'll throw yourself into the most vulnerable space. If you can go and do open mic comedy for 5 minutes and realise that nobody's really going to laugh at you, but you don't care because you're going to learn. Go and do an open mic poetry night. The reason that's so important is you're holding a microphone, you're talking to an audience, which is one of the most crucial things that you need to do. Go and do more karaoke. Before you do the song...
You're good at that, yeah.
Before you do the song, hold the mic and talk to the audience about why you've chose the song and what it means to you.
Interesting.
Right? And here's a brilliant one. Go and speak to primary 3 kids about what you do. And see if you can fire them, excite them, and get them understanding what you do. Your communication's excellent. Primary 3, 4 kids are the most attuned audience. That if you can fire an audience of kids, your communication is getting to the right space because it's simple, it needs to be exciting, and it's colourful. And irrespective of whether or not we're kids or 80-year-olds, we want to be fired. We want to have colour. We want to have vibrancy. And the most crucial thing, everything is driven from there.
Yeah.
Everything. Every single decision we make in life that's really, really important comes from there, filtered through there. So we need to fire the heart. Mm-hmm. And that you can only fire the heart by being yourself. Because the heart sees you not being yourself. And I hope that's good advice.
Yeah, yeah, some great stuff.
I'm on my way.
What's that?
I'm on my way to the
Yeah, karaoke tonight and open mic as well.
Kids.
Yeah. And primary school.
Yeah,
well,
Yeah.
Unreal. That's
Go
next
and do
night
it.
out. That's
Go
next
and do
night
it.
out.
And be willing to open up to the fact that people will say, "Hear you, you're shite."
And right. Your teammates.
They do that every day.
Because that's criticism.
Yeah.
You can't just have a world where everyone's saying you're great.
No, certainly like now, and I think like there's definitely a feeling that there's maybe certain like generations, and we want to be careful here about what I say, but like that are maybe less, they've maybe not had that constructive or non-constructive feedback or criticism like that probably you and I both had coming certainly through school, getting told we're shit at most things. You're letting yourself down. You're going to fail everything.
Yeah.
You're going to be useless.
It's good though.
All
It was helpful.
Yeah, and it gives you a thick skin, and it gives you a, well, fuck you. I'll show you what we can do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people now, unfortunately. Well, I don't know what's right or not. I've got a 5-year-old son, and I'm trying to toughen him up. So I tell him he's shite. No, I'm joking. But it's trying to kind of give that feedback to people and let them develop that thick skin. But sometimes you see in a lot of like public, some of the maybe younger generation aren't coming as equipped with being able to deal with that. Have you noticed that? Have you?
I work with a lot of firms who are having real huge issues with their teams communicating.
Right.
And even, using the phone effectively.
Yeah.
My understanding of what I share with people I work with is we need to meet in person, that's the priority.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be having really healthy conversations. See, if we can't meet in person, we need to be doing something on the phone, either on Teams or on there.
Yeah.
And beyond that, email, text.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, it's in person.
Yeah.
Everything, all of my best connections are in person. It's like this. Then it's on the phone. WhatsApp for me. So I don't do social media, but I send lots of voice notes.
Yeah.
Send lots of video notes, and I send lots of pictures of me when I'm out cycling around the Trossachs, asking them how their day is, and trying to be a human being beyond a business associate.
Yeah.
Genuinely ask anyone I work with, they tell me they know me as a person. It's not just about Greg that wants to make a living from helping them with their communication in the workplace.
Yeah.
I want to be their friends. And that might sound a bit...
There's so much deeper in it. Like it's
people stay with you if they're your friends.
100%.
So I want to be their friends, and I mean that naturally. I think it's the right way to act. I have very few business relationships where I don't know them as people. I'm not going to start chatting the door and saying you want to go to down to the local for a pint. It's a respectful.
There's boundaries and
there's a respectful,
respect,
but there's a
totally.
friendship. I want to know about them. I want to know about what makes them tick. I want to spend time with them. I want to have interesting conversations beyond how, because that's what great communication's about.
And what value has that given you and the individuals? Like
inseparable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not here to blow my trumpet about who I work with and what I do, but I can give you an example of.
Go for it.
That behaviour and how that behaviour is that relationship building. So I've got some things happening at the moment that are really, really, really great. But it's not coming 6 months, it's coming 9 years.
Yeah.
9 or 10 years. To the point now where you've built the connection that strongly, because you haven't immediately went, I want to work with you now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a youthful practice where lots of young people think this stuff's happening now.
Yeah.
I'm working with people that I've been engineering it as naturally as I can for 10 years.
Yeah.
So...
And I'd like to be fair, I get that. I think there's probably maybe a patience thing with some people, and I've not got a huge amount of patience myself right enough. So sometimes you do want things today or yesterday or whatever. That sometimes is just the natural feeling, but I think anything built really strong takes time to build, right? It just, in with depth or whatever, it just doesn't happen overnight. One of the things that, as a business, actually, we have benefited from since we started is, my network and connections I've made over the last 15, 20 years, whether it's through my teams that we've built or people that I've worked with in the past, like, a lot of them are our clients. Now, because they know me, they trust me, they're like, well, we need some, and then they bring us in and then we build out a strategy and stuff. So like, I do agree. I think to build something that's really strong, it takes time. There's not, I don't think you can really shortcut it by being like overly keen or like taking them down the pub every time or whatever. Like there's just an effort level that's there. And I think that's one thing that I would definitely recommend to people is like, if you're either trying to build your business or build community or friendship or whatever, you've got to give, and not with all the expectation of getting. It's just like, do more.
Here's another crucial thing that I don't think enough people say in business. When we've built the connection, how many of us actually say, I want to work with you?
Yeah.
I want I want this to happen.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of teams and people who just keep this conversation and it just goes on forever, and it's just like, why not just stop and say, listen, I want to work with you, you know that we can work together, so let's make it happen.
But I think that's the sales guy in you. You're not afraid to ask for the deal.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who are maybe not as comfortable in the sales world or whatever.
Only because they just haven't tried it.
Exactly.
They haven't practiced it. They haven't
And it's asking the
understood how
question.
it
It's
feels.
like, how do we make this happen, or what's the next steps, or like
what can I do to make this happen?
Yeah, 100%.
It's such a simple
practical steps.
sales strategy.
Yeah.
You understand me, I understand you. You see the value of what I can bring. So what do I need to do to make this happen?
100%.
And then don't say anything.
Yeah. Power of silence, isn't it? He who speaks first loses. And I think when it comes to like the hosting and stuff, talk me through Kiltwalk.
Well, the Kiltwalk has been one of the highlights of my professional career. It has enabled me to come into a community. Again, you can look into who runs the Kiltwalk and who's behind it and who's associated, but it has opened some tremendous doors for me. And it all came about, it kind of goes as far back to my friend Bruce, who was his best man. And when I was starting presenting and I was moving from DJing to presenting, he used to do the graphic design for the Diet Coke half marathon in East Kilbride.
All right.
And they were at a meeting and they said, my mate does compare and he could maybe be the right guy. And I've done that for 2 or 3 years. And then Glasgow City Council, the folk that do the Great Scottish Run, seen me. And they were like, would you come and do it for us? And there was a girl called Emma that worked in that sphere. And she was working with the Kiltwalk when it changed hands as an organisation in 2016. And Paul Cooney and Sir Tom Hunter said to Emma, any idea who could host this for us? She went, I've got the guy. And in 2016, I went in and hosted the first Kiltwalk with Sir Tom and Paul Cooney at Hampden. And it's just been 10 years of
unreal,
great memories, great fun. And that's just basically me on the mic at the start, communicating really important messages and crucially, absolutely crucially, making everyone that's there feel good. And it's not the Greg Summers show. So I don't even say my name on there. People want you, they seek you out. And what happens is year on year, you build a reputation, you build your name, and as a result, the people who are associated with it ask you questions about what else you do, and it opens some great doors.
That's amazing. And I think like we do different stuff with charity, and Kiltwalk's one thing we've never done. And I'm definitely keen to get involved for the next one.
Next year?
What's that? Yeah, we've not done it yet. Yeah. Do we know the dates yet? Has it been announced?
It's usually...
Sorry to put you on the spot.
In fact, there are 2, so there are 4 Kiltwalks throughout the year. There's Glasgow, Aberdeen, Dundee, Edinburgh. So Glasgow and Aberdeen are both done. So there's now Dundee and Edinburgh to go. And then next year it's usually Glasgow in April, Aberdeen start of June, Dundee August, Edinburgh September. Okay. But it's a great thing to get involved in. And it's,
do you have a favourite?
They're all. Well, being a Glaswegian. It's funny because sometimes they're like that to me. Paul and other folk like, remember we're in Aberdeen, so we can't be as Glasgow as...
tone it down.
Talking about, I'll always be Glasgow.
And I think, we're definitely keen to get involved. I think we'll probably hold to the Glasgow one. We did the Edinburgh Marathon, we did not enjoy it. The weather was horrendous, but...
enjoy speaking about it.
I enjoy telling everybody I've ever met that we did it. But so we'll definitely get involved. We'll need to get some more details on that after this. And more recently, you've become obviously a social media superstar.
That's ridiculous.
On Keystores. Talk us through that. This is and I think you're going to rope me into something here later on. So this is going to be a bit of a laugh.
My son, Elliot, since 2014, at the age of 14, he just understood that whole online media space in a way that I have no idea. I swear I have no social media presence. I've got everyone he calls me a WhatsApp ultra, right? Because I'm just like WhatsApp. But you know yourself, Sean, many WhatsApp have I sent you? So he has, I'm really, really proud of him. He's developed a social media agency over the past
Fantastic.
7 years because he just thoroughly understands what he needs to do in a way that I just, he's got some sort of golden formula.
Yeah.
And he started doing a number of different clients, and then last year Keystore approached them, and through the marketing team that are involved at Keystore, anyway, they approached Elliot and said, listen, we can see what you've done, we're really impressed with what you do, and we'd like you to create a really strong online presence in TikTok for our convenience store brand. And Elliot came home to me, his dad's been a presenter for 20 years, and he said, Dad, I've got the Keystore TikTok gig.
That's fantastic.
But they need a presenter.
Yeah.
And I was like, initially I was thinking, wait a minute, like, 'cause I knew, and I still know very little about TikTok. I was like, how can you actually take a convenience store brand and make it cool? He says, listen, I know we can.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? He says, I just want you to be you and take the mic.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you want me to have a laugh? And he was like, that's the goal.
That's the only thing, yeah.
That is the goal.
That's so good.
You be you, have a laugh. And so everything I've learned at the Kiltwalk and at events where I'm interviewing folk and making it about them and doing all that, he obviously seen it and just thought, I know what I need to do here.
Brilliant.
So
I'll need to meet Elliot. It sounds like we've probably got quite a bit of synergy.
He's I'm not just saying that because I'm his dad.
No.
I'm exceptionally proud of him.
Fantastic.
But he just, beyond that, he knows a couple of crucial things, right? He knows that at the basis of it, it needs to be filmed the best. So the quality of the production he's really focused on.
Yeah.
He knows how to put it all together. He knows that the content within it needs to be quality. And he knows that if you get a really good presenter, someone that's really good with people, match all three, you're not going to be far away.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned. Because I stepped in, it was just like that. I'll take the mic and I'll do what I need to do. But I didn't understand the importance of really good production and really good content. And he did.
Yeah.
He was really focused on the importance of this stuff. You know, the quality of that, the quality of the content in terms of the human engagement and the narrative within the story and how you form that, and then getting a presenter who's able to be really good with people. And then when he put the three together, it's
just worked. Nice.
It has.
Yeah.
And there's also beyond that. So I think if people get that three, we've also got the fact it's a father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
So there's something I think when he shows me what to do, I can sense that it's because of us.
Yeah.
The
nice.
two of us. So it's a really wonderful
That's
just
brilliant.
thing to understand.
Must be really nice to work with your boy with this
It
stuff.
is. I mean, I've
must be
said
great.
this to lots of people that have, when I've been in moments like this. I spent so many years just trying to guide them, being the dad. Want to think about this, and now he's guiding me.
Yeah.
Dad, you need to do this and you need to do that.
That's unreal.
And he's very strict as well, you know.
Is he?
So if it didn't
Good.
work, he'd be like that.
He'll tell you. Unreal. No, that's great. It sounds
You're
brilliant.
sacked.
No, good on him. That's great.
Get back to the Kiltwalk.
You're
Stay
right.
there.
And talk us through a bit more about like other elements of your business. I know you obviously support organisations with like communication and all that kind of stuff. Chat us through some of that stuff if that's okay.
So for probably about the last 10 years, I've worked with businesses looking at 5 key areas. How are their teams presenting, delivering presentations? How are they speaking in public? What are the great stories that they can tell? How are they telling them? What are they doing with their sales? How are they approaching their sales pitches? How are they networking when they're at networking events? You know, are they being human? Are they having a laugh? Or are they having to be
Robots.
stiff and like that? What am I doing here? And what you're doing when you have a really, really tragic media incident, so media response. So those 5 key areas I work with businesses on having an understanding of all 5 of them. And beyond that, the organisation 27 is something I'm really going to focus on the next few years, which is about providing free assistance to folk in recovery who want to tell their story, want to improve their ability at job interviews.
Brilliant.
So improve their communication and community events as well.
Nice.
So there's lots happening. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's lots of fun.
And if you kind of looking back, like, is there anything, any advice or specific advice you'd give to your younger self?
Yeah. Yeah, lots and lots and lots.
Like, where do we start?
Be patient.
Okay.
Do your best to be guided by your heart and realise that your definition of success might not be success.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So relationships and all aspects of your relationships, and focus on being as good as you can be
Mm-hmm.
to your community
Mm-hmm.
and giving. And you're not going to sell. I'm selling nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm offering solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes from that, because the quality will be so good,
Yeah.
is the byproduct,
Yeah.
is what happens. So I would encourage people to think about enjoying what this will be controversial for anyone in business. See if you're not enjoying what you're doing, leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
See if you're not fired in the heart. And I mean, this will be difficult for anyone to hear, and there might be people in this room, I have no idea. You need to spend your life doing what fires you. Communication gives me the biggest buzz on the planet. Knowing that what I say inspires people. I just know that when I share what I share, people like it. And that gives me a tremendous buzz. So that's my thing, and everyone's got it. I don't know what it is. Maybe joinery, it might be opera singing. I have no Scooby-Doo. But I know that if you've got a fire in your heart for something, if you're not doing it, start doing it.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll get it to 60, 70, you'll be like that.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah.
You've got it.
Yeah. And how do you now define success? And is that different from when you were 25?
Aye, it probably is. I define success by hoping that my interpretation of the divine will guide me to what I really should be doing. So my success is giving up a bit of surrender to what's ahead of me, rather than clenching and desiring and wanting. And I was working with a wee lassie, a younger girl, earlier in the week, and she was like, I want to manifest a Mercedes. And I didn't say anything. But I was just like, I'll ask you that in 25 years. So don't be overstressed about seeking and getting what you think you require. Just try and be led a bit more by the heart. Have fun, and if you're doing truly what you want to do with a lot of vigour and a lot of fun, the reward will come with it. Yeah, won't it?
Nice. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate you being on.
You're very welcome.
It's been really fascinating to learn about your background, the history.
How long's that been?
I don't know. About an hour or so.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And do some stand up.
My favorite. I've got two favourite songs. One's a bit arty and a bit emotional and a bit weepy, and I've got a fun favourite song. So my favourite song is by a band called the Blue Nile. It's called Tinsel Town in the Rain, which is just if you've never heard.
I don't even know if I know it.
It is.
We'll put it on.
It is the Glasgow. It is the song that is just.
I'll probably know it, but I don't.
And the second one is the Rapper's Delight. I said it hip. Hip hip hop. You don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. So that's those are my two favourite songs.
Real.
How often do you get started?
Regularly, aye. It's but you know, you got to take it for what it is. It's just it's a fun TikTok campaign. It's not like it's I just try and Elliot, he deals with how I think what's interesting is, for some reason, there's a massive, you know, when you look at the analytics of it, there's a massive support and kind of interest from young men between 16 and 25. All right. I don't know why. And I've thought about it. I think it's because I freely behave in a really relaxed manner. So that's my interpretation. And I think a lot of young men are in a position where they struggle to think about being free in their behaviours. Does that make sense?
Totally. I can't, like, it's always on mine. I'm devastated I'm not in that age bracket anymore. I'm 26. So
Aye.
Oh man.
But I think a lot of young men maybe look at me and think that there's an older guy that doesn't care about acting like nuts and having a laugh and being himself, and maybe they want to do that. Hopefully one day.
Yeah.